Video, I'm going to show you how to edit text in Photoshop. So you need to open up Photoshop. Hopefully you already watched the first video to give you a little bit of introduction to how the different screens look. So when you first open it up, it'll look something like this. You need to press Create New. This might be your default screen too. So if it looks like that, that's fine. Go up here to Web because we're going to make a web document, and then click on the first one there, Web Most Common. You can right click on that and then it starts a document at that size. So I'm going to do Control 0 so I can zoom in all the way and fit my artboard in the window. Now make sure that you have your layers open, which I do, but I also need something called Character open so that I can edit text. So whenever there's a window not open, you can go over here and select it. Now you see layers is open, there's a check. I need characters open, so I'm going to click that. So now I have character, which lets me edit my font, the size of the font, the space between all the text, the color, everything I want to edit my text with is right here in character. All right, so the text tool is the tool that we're going to use a lot for this assignment, and maybe the move tool a little bit, but mostly the text. So when you're ready to type something on your window, you can either just click and let go, and it will give you some fake text, and it'll be whatever size you had on there last. You're probably going to have default as like 12-point type, and it'll be really small and hard to see. So you can just go ahead and type your sentence. I'm going to put I want you to type this sentence, and when you're done typing, just press the check mark. Every time you're done typing, press the check mark so that you can get out of the text editing mode. Otherwise, things can get kind of weird on you. All right, so I want to make this bigger. So I'm on this layer. I can go over here to my font and I can change the size. I'm going to put 50, and that will make my letters bigger. All right, if I want to move this around, I can go to the Move tool and I can move it and center it right there like that. All right, now I'm ready to type another line of text. Now this time it's going to automatically make it this size because it's the last size that I used. Now last time I just clicked and I made the text like that. I'm going to show you how to delete something. Like let's say I didn't want that. If you click the check mark, go over here to your layer and press delete. If you want to start over, if something weird happens, you can always click the check mark and then delete the layer. All right, and let's start over. Sometimes when you type something, you might want to drag a text box. Instead of just clicking and starting that fake text the way you did on the first sentence, you can just click, hold your mouse down, and you can drag a box for your text. If you make it too small, when you start typing, you'll only see part of the sentence. So maybe you want to make your text box big at first. All right, and it gives you a lot of fake text, but it's okay. You can just type over it. All right, so I'm going to press the check mark so I can get out of the text editing mode. Now I have two layers with text. I want to show you on the tracking. If I want to make my text box different, I can click on the text here, click inside, and it gives me the text box again. So if I wanted to make it a smaller box, I could do this. But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. And then I'm going to press the check mark. Now I want to select this sentence right here so that I can edit it. So I'm going to click over here and drag. If you accidentally make a new text box, like if you didn't get it, let's say you didn't get it in exactly the right spot. I wanted to select that sentence, but I came over here and I did that and I made a little tiny text box. It's very easy to get out of. Just press the check mark, go over to that layer, click on it, and press delete. And then go back to your other sentence and try again. So you want to make sure that you put the cursor in the right spot when you want to select the text. So I'm going to go on the very bottom of the text. You can either start on this side or you can start on this side. Just click and drag and make all of it selected. Now I'm going to show you how to adjust the tracking. If you go over here to your character, see that VA with the arrow and the space? That's where you adjust the tracking. That's the space between all the letters that are selected. So if you make this a really big number, if I make it 100 and press enter, you can see that the space got really big between all of the letters. If I want my text to be really close, I would put in a negative number. So like if I put negative 50, you can see the letters got really close together. So I want to get the check mark so I can get out of that mode. And now I want to show you what kerning is. Let's go to that layer. Show you how to adjust the kerning in this sentence. Kerning is the space between the two letters. So I'm going to go over here to this layer that says kerning, and I'm going to put the cursor in between whatever letters I want to adjust the space in. Let's say I wanted to space it out more right here. So I click in between the N and the I, and I go over here where there's V/A is, and I'm going to put in a number like, let's try 80. So you can see now I space that out a little bit more. Let's say maybe that I want to reduce the space in between the K and the E. I can go over to where the VA is, that's kerning. If you hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you. And I'm going to make this a smaller number, so let's put like negative 40, something like that. And you can see how the K and the E got close together. All right, so that's how you adjust the different spacing when you're doing kerning. It's just between one letter. All right, so then there's one more definition of typing that I need to teach you. So let's go over to the text tool and make a new text layer. And I want you to type that sentence. All right, now before we do the check mark and get out of here, I want you to copy it. So go right there where that blinking cursor is. That means you're still selected on that line. Click there and drag and go over the whole line. And now we're going to copy it. So go to Edit, Copy, which is Control C. And now go back to where that period is and press Return, and then Paste, which is Control V. Do it again. Return, Control V. Return, Control V. One more time. Return, Control V. And now let's press the check mark. All right, the reason why we're doing a bunch of sentences is because that's what leading is. Leading is the space between each line of text. So let's say I want some of these lines of text to be closer together and maybe some of them farther apart. I'm going to get my cursor and I'm going to select just these two. And then I'm going to go up here in this box in the top right of character, and I'm going to make that number bigger. So let's say I make it 80. Now you can see it made the lines of text space farther apart. Let's say I want the last 4 lines to be really close together. I'll drag my cursor over those, and I'm going to make this number, actually let me just do these last 3. Just select the last 3 and make this number a smaller number than 50. If you make it 0, they would be on top of each other. See, that's almost 0, and then they're on top of each other, so you don't even know that they're there. So obviously you want a bigger number than whatever size type that you're using, or at least a number close. Let's say 55. Now you can see that made them spaced how I want. So I'm going to click the check mark, and to move the layers around, I want to take this tracking layer, and I'm going to get the move tool, and I'm going to move it here so that these are centered better. All right, now let's say I wanted to make some of my text bold. I can go like to the word kerning and get my text tool, and I can go over here right next to the G and right on the bottom of the text and drag that. And then I can change it to a different font if I want. If I want to make it bold. If I want to change the color, I can go over here. I can change it to red, say OK. All right, and then press the check mark when you're done editing. Let's say I want to do that to tracking. Go to the tracking layer, get my cursor, put it right at the bottom right of that word, and drag it across, and I can make it bold. Then I can change the color. Let's say I want to make it a totally different color. You just move this around and pick whatever color you want, and press the check mark again. And that's good enough. You don't need to change any more colors. I just want you to try making a couple of the fonts different and try a couple different colors for your text. All right, so the last thing you need to do before you save it is type your name. So I'm going to go on the bottom right. This time I'll click a text box, so that's clicking and dragging. And oops, if that happens, just press Control 0 and then type your name and then press the check mark. And if you want to move it, you get the move tool and you can move it. All right, let me zoom out a little bit, Control minus, and then press the space bar. So that's what you need to do for this assignment, is type these sentences, adjust the kerning in this one, adjust the tracking here, adjust the leading, which is the space between the lines, type your name, and then as always, you want to go save, and I'm going to put it in my assignments folder here. Name this assign to, and type your name, and save it as a Photoshop file. So that's a PSD. All right, so every time you work on something, save it as a PSD. And that is an editable file. So if you were to like come back in the next day and finish working on this or change something, you would open your PSD, because the PSD is the only kind of file that's editable in Photoshop. But you always need to save another copy of it as a JPEG. So go File, Save As, and then change this to JPEG. Just pick the first one on the list. The JPEG is the file that you're going to use in your slide. You can just leave the default settings. The JPEG is the file that you're going to use for your slideshow. That's the one that you're going to go in Google Slides and make a slide with. But the PSD is the file that you must keep to edit it. You cannot edit a JPEG. You can only edit a PSD. And that's it for this lesson. Good luck.